definitely a super exciting thing to get. Feeling like I was learning with the guests about the animals. You can't get close enough to the cheetahs for them to come up to the truck. That job really tested my voice a lot, actually. You were sucking up to somebody if you got 2 minutes. Different truck, same job, all the time.
The Disney Kilimanjaro Safari is one of the most iconic attractions in Walt Disney World, but have you ever wondered what it would be like to actually drive one of those trucks and work at Disney's Animal Kingdom and be on the safaris? Well, today I'm sitting down with my very good friend Rhema, and she's going to tell us all about her experience as a Disney safari guide, and in future videos she's going to talk about other really cool roles that she's had working for Disney as well. So make sure to subscribe to see those videos in the future and to connect with me about all things Disney.
But for now, let's get wild
And learn about being a Disney safari guide. Alright guys, we have Rhema here with me, and Rhema was a safari guide at Disney World, which is so many people's dream role. Like, so many people's dream role. So, Rhema, why don't you just, because I know you have a YouTube channel and an Instagram, so do you want to tell them what that is if they want to follow you?
Rhema, that's how you spell my name. And then Voyages. It's the same for both my YouTube and my Instagram. So Rhema Voyages.
Yay! So definitely go follow her. We were on the same college program. So like I said, Rhema, this was a lot of people's dream role. Was this your dream role? And what was kind of your reaction to getting the offer to be able to be a safari guide?
I would say my dream role was more like Jungle Cruise. Initially, I was like, I cried when I didn't get Jungle Cruise because I got Tiki Room instead. But I was getting off of one of my college programs and talking to casting, and they gave me the list of options, and I heard safaris, and I was like, let's do it. And that was exciting. Like, I was very like, oh, how was this option available to me? This is so cool. And so that was really, really exciting. Get the opportunity to pick it. Most people don't get to do that.
Will you kind of share with us what a day in the life was working as a safari guide at Disney World? What did a normal shift look like?
Normal shift is like a long walk backstage. We went behind Pandora, and then we went around and we had to walk on stage. Most of the time, you would get a truck, like every day, guaranteed. You were probably going to get majority truck, like, rounds. It's different than most attractions, because most attractions you'll be like on the ground on a land position technically, but they don't call it land positions because they don't have trucks, so it's not like truck versus land. And then you had all your land positions like merge and everything, but most of the time, the most time you would spend in a day on a land was like 2 hours. And sometimes you would rotate like other attractions, and most of the time not, depending on the coordinator that was pushing rotations or not pushing rotations. Everything was very, very organized by coordinators there. Coordinators do a lot more there than at other attractions or other locations in general. They like really, the word coordinator really applies to them. They'd see, oh, this person is on a truck. They've been on a truck for 2 hours doing rounds. They need their break, because you get breaks every about approximately 2 hours. So you'd be driving your truck, you'd probably do 3 or 4 rounds, each about 22 to 25 minutes. Somebody would point to you and you'd be like, great. It's a break. Great. Awesome. Because your voice starts hurting after a while. At least mine did. I have a weak voice though. So yeah, that job really tested my voice a lot, actually, because it's so much talking. There wasn't a lot of like conversational talking. It was just like talking, monologuing pretty much most of the time. Eventually that wears out your vocal cords. There were days that I was just like eating cough drops the whole day. It got tough sometimes, but it was cool to actually see the animals and stuff. But anyways, you'd get off your truck and somebody would bump you, and then you'd do like a break, and then the coordinator would call your name, be like, Rhema, and you'd be like, yeah. And if you weren't in the room, they'd be like, Rhema, Rhema. You'd have to like walk up from like, because there was a lower area where they also had the speaker, but it was too far away from the normal break room for them to hear you, and they'd be like, "Truck 42, please." And you'd be like, "Okay," and then you'd go, you'd point at the person, and you'd bump them off their truck. And
Mm,
then it was if you had like a 6 hour shift, it was usually only trucks in a day.
mm,
And then if you had like an 8 hour shift, you'd probably get like one land and three truck rounds. A lot of people ask though, when I say that I worked at safaris, they're like, "Did you drive the trucks?" I'm always like, what? You think I was just staying on the land the whole time? Like I worked at safaris, and I
nice.
do understand because it's like, wait, you?
Did you ever get the question of like, I know you did control the truck, but did you get that question? Because they don't on Jungle.
Yeah, yeah. They sometimes people would think you're not the one driving, but
Yeah.
there's a whole training. It was a lot of like, all right, we're going real slow. It's gonna look like you're about to go into this bush, but then right at the last second, you're gonna start turning this way. And it was so stressful. Um, like, most stressful uh training I've ever done,
Yeah,
probably.
I can imagine.
Um, at least at Disney. Like definitely it was hardcore. Um, every day was like, oh my gosh, I'm taking in so much information. We were
Mm,
supposed to start out with learning like 2 facts minimum about every animal on the safari. And that was kind of hard too. And there was like this whole book of like approved facts for us to talk about that we could read at home if we wanted to, but we weren't supposed to. We were supposed to do it on the, you're only supposed to do on the job stuff on the job. So, but I definitely went home and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so stressful. Yeah.
that's yep. Yeah. Would you say
Um,
it was like a dangerous, that it is a dangerous job at all because of the animals or not really?
yeah. Um, not dangerous for you, more so dangerous for the animals in a way. Not
Mm.
even really though, because we're trained to not hit them. But and the trucks only go 8 miles per hour while you have guests on board. Backstage, they go 20 miles per hour max. But still, there'd be sometimes like a giraffe, and you don't really want to hit the giraffe. So, like, technically, if you were like really not paying attention, which is not the case, like everybody's paying attention, either 10 or 20 feet away from it, on like technically on all sides,
Mm.
with giraffes in particular. And then there was like, smaller animals, zebras, Bontebok and whatever, and they could get in your path. And so is not something that I've ever heard of happening.
Everyone working together to make sure everything's safe. And I know that's Disney's number one priority.
Yeah, I would not say that it was really dangerous for the people on the truck unless they hopped out
like on purpose or something. Yeah.
on purpose. Like
Yeah.
that's their fault, It's
Yeah.
not, but like by the operation,
Mm-mm.
there is no danger
Yeah.
in the actual just like normal operation of it. You can't get close enough to the cheetahs for them to come up to the truck barrier. And
Mm.
then same thing with the lions. There's if they tried to get out, they couldn't. Yeah, there was no like dangerous animals that we could get close enough to at all.
So with the animals, did you have like a favorite animal or favorite exhibit or any moments where you're like, wow, I can't believe I just saw a live animal do that that were your favorite?
Yeah, was a big fan of the bongos. They're
Oh,
just
okay.
they're in the first area. They're in the little Ituri forest, that first little spot that you go into. The bongos, you get close enough to pet them. They leave like an orange dust on your hand. The comment that was made that I then made all the time was that they're like basically like giant Cheetos. They were
Wow.
just very cute. To me, they just seemed like big dogs. And then I also really, really liked the springbuck. It was very rare to see them like springing up and down, but when you did, it's like the most adorable thing ever. So I think those were my top two.
I remember going on the safari at different times of the day, and the animals are active in different ways. So I always thought that would be a really cool part about that job is being able to see it at all the different times and like hearing the lion roar. I heard that once on a safari, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
really rare.
So you think that you're gonna see everything, but it was actually really it was so annoying sometimes when you'd be like 10 minutes behind somebody else who saw something really cool, and then you'd hear about it in the break room. They're like, oh yeah, I just got off my truck like 20 minutes ago, and you're like, I just got off mine like 30 minutes ago, or like 10 minutes ago, or whatever. And
Mm.
then like they're like talking all about this like cool thing that they saw, and you're like, dang it, I missed it. And so you don't see everything, but you do see a lot more of the range of what goes on, and you find out like sunrise and sunset are the most active time for the animals. And so, and then yeah, also like sometimes during the rain.
So, what would you say was your favorite and then your least favorite parts about working on the Disney Kilimanjaro Safari?
Favorite part, the first 7 months. And that's a weird answer, but feeling like I was learning with the guests about the animals, and like there was a lot of excitement in the very beginning, awe and amazement at just the animals, and just getting to see all the little things they would do. And I saw a cheetah in a tree once, and I was like, and I had an elephant wave at me once because there's one of the animal keepers was out, and they were like, okay, wave, and the elephant stuck its truck up and just went, and I was like,
Oh my gosh.
I just got waved at by an elephant. And so there were some key moments where I was like, oh, that was actually really cool and special. At the beginning, that was like all the time. I think my least favorite part was, unfortunately, like you take some stuff for granted eventually, and I never really wanted to take things for granted. There were a lot of like privileges in Kilimanjaro safaris, just one random one being that like in most attractions, you don't get time after your break to like potentially sit and wait for a truck or something, or
Mm.
like wait for your name to be called to for when they have an assignment available for you. But this was like that. You would get off your break and you wouldn't necessarily hear your name immediately. You might hear your name 30 minutes after your break ended. And then you would wait another 25 minutes for your truck or whatever. So you just like burned an hour of the day just waiting to be called on, basically, just on call.
Resting your voice.
Yeah, pretty much. It was like, okay, I don't have to like speak right now. It's great. Or you'd be like chatting with your friend in the break room or something, and you didn't really want to stop or something. At first I was always like so grateful for my extra minutes. And then like eventually I started taking them more and more for granted, and it was almost like annoying when your name would be called immediately after your break, and then you had to like go and your truck was like immediately available, and then you had to like pretty much get on the truck right then. I didn't ever want to like not appreciate the joy of getting to experience like what it's like to be on a truck. Pile that on with COVID. That was the worst because of all the face shields and the mask, and like it's hard. It was just hard to like deal with all of it, and then like try to be heard through the mask, because you had to talk through a mask, and I'm already a quiet talker, and so I felt like I was even talking louder and louder, and I was just like hurting my voice more and more. Really, I think the voice thing was probably one of my least favorite parts of the job, was like feeling like I was losing my voice all the time. I felt like I was more prone to get sick because it was exhausting. Like it was mentally exhausting. And then I felt like I didn't have a lot of energy for my other cast
Mm.
when I did see them. I didn't see them very often. That's another thing I didn't love, is that you're mostly on your own.
How many hours were you full time or part time?
I was part-time, but I still got, a good amount of hours before COVID anyway. I felt like a lot of hours were there
Yeah.
most of the time. There were points of time where I would only get like 6-hour shifts, 3 days a week, and I'd be like, okay. It would come and go, but I felt like more than any other role that I've been in, um, they had waves of like lots of hours, and then like waves of low hours, but yeah, pretty consistent like trade-off there.
When you were working on the safari, did you have any specific like magical moments or maybe just the guests' reactions to the animals or even something on land? I don't know if you guys still had fast pass when you were working there, if you ever got to like give people
We did
fast pass. You did? Oh,
we
good.
did have fast pass, so it was really cool to be able to let like the random guest into Fast Pass. You know you're working at a big ticket ride. And so you know that what you're giving them is like something that they're going to be more excited about. So that was always fun when I was actually stationed there. It was that was one of the fun land positions. I didn't usually get it. You didn't get the same land position in the same week like almost ever. I felt like maybe if you were full time, but I didn't. It's hard to remember any from being on the truck because I felt like every day had something exciting. I would forget it 2 seconds later because it was just the everyday. Like I would go through a round and I would be like, that was like such a fun round. My passengers were so interactive. They were so like, wow. Some of them were asking questions. I really enjoyed when the guests actually like cared to interact. That's entirely like my day being made by the guests. I don't know. It was just like immediately your brain would erase after going through a round and you'd restart and you'd do another one and maybe it was fantastic, but your brain would erase and you wouldn't remember. Like sometimes I would be like, oh man, that was so fun. Like I gotta remember the thing that was said here and
Mm.
write it down later. And then like I'd get off the truck and be like, I literally don't remember anything that just happened. So it's hard to say like the most magical moment that I had because I probably forgot it.
That's a really good point, though. I felt the same when I worked on attractions. So we switched locations, you guys, just in case you're wondering. But we are going to ask Rhema if she has any advice for somebody who is maybe they recently received an offer for this role or they're interested in this role. What would your advice be for future safari guides, Rhema?
I mean, it is a really cool role. If you get offered, then congrats, you know, it's that's exciting. Definitely a super exciting thing to get. In my training, I really paid attention to details because there's a lot. I really studied a lot. I paid a lot of attention to what the trainers were saying. It's very safety critical. Not most, but a lot of people don't pass through just the initial training. And so, really, if you have gotten this role and you're really excited for it and you want to keep it, just pay a lot of attention. It's going to be pretty important going forward. And then if you're someone who wants to get the role, I didn't have any animal experience before the role, I'll say. So it's not like you need any animal expertise beforehand. Don't know if they have any specific requirements. I was just already in attractions before I got into this role. So if you're already in the company, like if you're going from CP to part-time or full-time, you could even ask casting about it. Like you could put in a transfer request for it. So that's internally. That's from the you're already working for the company side. So pretty much if you just want to get that at some point, like just get in the company somewhere, whether that be on a CP or part time or full time. And then you can specifically transfer to that. Outside of the company, you can, I mean, if you're talking to casting, you can also specifically mention, hey, I'm really interested in Kilimanjaro Safaris. Is there anything available for that? If not, if they just have something else available for you, like I said, you could just take another role and just put in a transfer for either part time or full time. My best advice. And when you're talking to casting, you mention it.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. I remember someone on our CP, she was working at the Be Our Guest restaurant in Magic Kingdom, and she said on the phone, "Hey, I want to be a seater at the Be Our Guest restaurant." Like she just told her recruiter that. Um, and she got it. And I know it's a little bit different now with a CP where you couldn't preference your roles for a while. I don't know if it's still that way,
Yeah,
but
it did change. I don't
yeah,
know what it did exactly, but
but it never hurts to mention it specifically and like go after what you want. That's how you do it, and yeah.
yeah.
Anything else that you want to say about this role or anything that we didn't talk about that you about your experience that you want to mention?
Oh, one thing is if you get this role, you're gonna get stopped by animals a lot. So it's good to have something in your pocket for when you're stuck for the guests. My favorite thing was asking Disney trivia. Like one of my questions was like, what are the three Disney princes that are animals? The full movie. That one got people thinking a lot. And I think the answers were it took me a while to be like, oh, is it like Naveen? Is it like the
Mm.
Beast or whatever? And it's like, no, they gotta be the whole movie, and so it was like a good like thinker thing for the guests. We're not really supposed to be like Jungle Cruise, so you're not really supposed to do like punchline, like dry humor jokes a lot of the time, which is hard for me because that's how I
Ew.
am. Study about the animals, obviously all the stuff from the training that they teach you, just you want to learn the facts, and as time goes by, you'll learn more and more and more facts, especially if you're interested in it.
Mm.
So I was always like, oh, what is the actual fact on this? And then having something in your pocket for when you're stopped, because that's going to happen quite frequently. Sometimes you'll have like 30-minute animal stops.
You guys didn't know Rhema has actually had a lot of different jobs at Disney, which is so cool. And let me see if I can name all the jobs you've had. You tell me if I'm right. You've had ad lib,
Oh my
Aladdin.
God, I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
I was literally going to be like, yeah, I've only
So
had three.
that's the first one.
Yes, that one.
Yeah, so long ago. So Aladdin, Tiki Room, and Swiss Family Treehouse.
Yeah,
You've had custodial, you've had Kilimanjaro Safari, and you've had guest flow at Star Wars. Am I missing any?
that's it. Just those four. I've worked in all four parks.
We will be doing another video, Rhema and I together, about her role in custodial. So make sure to subscribe to see that video soon, and make sure to follow Rhema on YouTube and Instagram. It will be linked below. And make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I will talk to you all next time. Bye!